The college football experience, Florida Gators 2023 season preview episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It's brought to you by Bird Dog Shorts. Yes, dominate the summer with an amazing pair of shorts and a free Yeti-style tumbler when you order over at birddogs.com/pool. Once again, that's birddogs.com/pool.
Hey, this is Eric Metcalf. You're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Yes, yes, yes. Woo! Welcome to the college football experience, Florida Gators 2023 season preview episode. Oh, I'm excited to talk Gator football. Just watched the documentary on alligators attacking sharks more often than we think, just to get in the mood. And, look, perhaps you're wondering just who the hell you're listening to. My name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, a.k.a. Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I'm probably drinking too much and celebrating too much and not sleeping. I would have killed a normal man, but no, that's gone. The medical advice I got from that was like being hit by lightning. Pretend it never happened and get on with your life.
Yes. That's what Gator fans need to say regarding last season, perhaps, or maybe 2 or 3 seasons in the past decade, maybe 4, something like that. It's been a little tough sledding into that Spurrier and Meyer national championships, but I see there's a documentary coming out.
That'll make him feel a lot better, I'm sure.
Yeah, you got the doc coming, so maybe that will help recruiting. We're gonna talk all about it. I'm joined by my co-host. Give it up for former JMU Duke defensive back, the burrito eating, sideline kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing, Patty C in the place to be.
Hi-oh.
Let's get it going. All right.
Yeah, buddy.
Let's get it going.
Yeah.
Is this running back you?
It's looking like it. Well, I don't know.
Neil Anderson, Emmett Smith.
Fred Taylor, who is currently...
Fred Taylor. Did he play in the NFL or just play a couple games?
Yeah,
I feel like he played 4 games.
Couple injuries.
I'm joking.
Mark Thompson?
Yeah. Oh, Mark Thompson in the USFL. Subscribe to the USFL podcast.
Nice plug.
Wasn't Travis Jervey?
Travis Jervey?
Yeah.
He was?
Go. Give it up for Travis Jervey. All right.
Who is the no, you're thinking of Travis McGriff.
Eric Rhett.
Eric Rhett was? You remember Travis McGriff? He's the greatest white college wide receiver of all.
Chris Doering.
Was no Chris Doering, but I'd say.
No Chris Doering. And we are joined by third man in the booth. We call him the Chris Doering of this podcast. Some know him as the DFS God. Give it up for the rooftop IPA drinking, homebrew making, tobacco road living, a free lock giving, former Herndon Basketball League MVP. Give it up, Ritzy Nick in the place to be.
There we go. Maybe no Ricky Pearsall either.
Woo!
He's
throwing that.
Certainly no Ricky Pearsall.
Well, I mean, we're going to get to all of that because I am intrigued on what we got here with the Gators, guys. And if you look at Billy Napier's first year, 6-7. You fired Dan Mullen. He made it to the SEC championship just 2 years ago. And 6-7, they also had some, I actually think you can make a case, and I know Florida Gator fans will probably say, hey, man, what the fuck? I thought Utah was the better team that let them off the hook, and I thought South Florida pretty much had them on the ropes.
No, they
won by 3 in both those games, and so it could have been a lot worse. I know you still made a bowl, even though you got demolished by the Beavers in the bowl game.
The flip side of that coin is that if you look at who they lost to, They lost to a very solid Kentucky team that went bowling. They lost to a Tennessee squad who was very good last year. They lost to LSU, who won the SEC West, Georgia, who won the national championship, Florida State, who was double-digit wins, and Oregon State, who was double-digit wins.
And
the only questionable loss was Vandy.
True. Very true.
Most of those games, they were pretty respectable. Even the Georgia game was pretty close at halftime.
But at the same time, they only had what was South Carolina's final record? Okay, they had 2 wins against winning records, South Carolina and Utah. So, okay. All right, I'm buying in a little bit more. So Napier, I did question the hire. Well, when they first hired him, I thought it was a little interesting. I know they have the whole NIL Jaden Rashada thing happen this offseason where they, look like they stole him from Miami and then he never got the money. So now he's at Arizona State. So crazy times in Gainesville. You think he's on the hot seat if he has another 6-7 season? I mean, we've seen them pull the plug on Mullen after he was a year removed from the SEC championship.
That's true.
So, Nick, what do you think? You think Napier's on the hot seat if he goes 6-7 here?
I mean, I sure hope you give him 3 years. I think if you make a bowl game, which 6-7 means you're 6-6 and you lose a bowl game, I would hope that would at least equal a 3rd year. But yeah, I mean, we definitely had our questions with Billy Napier. Yeah, look, he did a great job at Louisiana, but he was only head coach for 4 years, and that was his first head coaching job.
Sunbelt West was really bad those years too. Now
that's very true. Very true.
And he did do a good job. He got the wins, but those were like close wins. A lot of close wins against questionable teams. That's all.
And not only that, before he became head coach, he was only a coordinator for 1 or 2 years. Other than that, he was a position coach. So, I mean, for him to land the Florida Gator job, maybe that was a stretch. Maybe he's in over his head a bit.
Patty, see your thoughts on Billy Napier. William Napier.
William One Napier is in with the Sharks in the SEC, the best of the best in the coaching ranks. Maybe, potentially, I would say so. Although being in the SEC East, maybe a little bit of a break.
This is the last year of that.
Yeah, that's true. And look, even the SEC East, Shane Beamer's proven to be pretty darn good. Obviously, homie in Tennessee.
And Clark Lee's proven to be better than him. He's 1-0 against them all time.
Well, here's the thing. Clark Lee was in year 2 there. So year 2 for Billy Napier. I think you're changing systems from what Dan Mullen was doing. Regardless of whether Dan Mullen had a pretty run-happy system, it was still a much different schematic system than what Napier's doing in terms of a standard kind of offensive approach. So give him time to get his pieces in place.
Sure. He definitely deserves time, but it's going to be interesting because they lose AR-15 first-round draft pick. So that you can look at that 2 ways. You can say, well, how the hell were you 6-7 when you had a guy that was a top 15 pick or top 10 pick? At the same time, you could say, well, he wasn't polished. They're going for the future, and we're going to be a better team without him. Maybe that both can be true. I don't know, but we're going to talk all about it. I want to tell you that the Florida Gators 2023 season preview episodes brought to you by Bird Dogs. Bird Dogs make you look good. You know that? They make you look good. They got stretch khaki shorts, and they're designed to fit slimmer through the thigh and leg, giving you a truly sculpted look. And Bird Dog shorts do, they do the same thing as other shorts. They're just going to be shorts, but they're not made of, stiff, restricting cotton, which I think is the common thing. NC Nick, I remember one time we were kids and we went on a hike to a waterfall in Maryland, and I remember him saying, "I'm sick of this stiff, restricting cotton on these shorts." Right?
I wish I knew Bird Dogs back then. I wish I knew them.
There you go, man. And look, Bird Dogs, because they fixed this issue a while ago. All right, because they invented cloud knit fabric. All right, as far as I'm concerned, Alexander Graham Bell can take a hike. All right, because this invention here of cloud knit fabric. Just unbelievable. It looks like khakis, but stretches so you get a way slimmer fit without having to sacrifice all that movement, Patty C.
It sounds like it makes you look good. It makes you feel good. What else does it do for you?
It's got anti-stink wicking fabric. I mean, you're gonna go out there and make sure you don't smell like Hacksaw Jim Duggan. You know what I mean? You're gonna be great. You're gonna keep you cool and dry all day long. You're gonna be smelling like a daisy. It's just gonna be great. All right, go to birddogs.com/pool. Enter that promo code POOL, POOL, for a free Yeti-style tumbler with your order. Once again, that is birddogs.com/pool for a free Yeti-style tumbler. You won't want to take your Bird Dogs off.
One more thing. I mean, maybe you go to a game in the swamp. It doesn't mean you have to have swamp ass.
True. You're listening to that Tom Petty music right? Third quarter, they start blasting that, running down a dream or some shit like that.
Right.
You don't want to be smelling like
your crack's gonna sweat.
That's what I'm
But
saying.
it doesn't have to stick in your shorts.
And remember, Florida, there's a big argument here that they invented Gatorade, and then Nebraska's argued this. I feel like 10 different schools, but
like Gatorade has the Gators have the best claim to that based on the name.
Yeah, it's true. And birddogs.com, it's just like electrolytes in your system. Boom. All right. Just wear those shorts. Birddogs.com. Remember to /pool for the free Yeti style tumbler.
Hello.
All right. We are back on the college football experience. Florida Gators 2023 season preview. And just like we do each and every team, the transfer portal, such a big deal in 2023 college football. We're going to talk about what they lost first. They lost Antoine Powell, defensive end, to the Virginia Tech Hokies, Patty C. They lost wide receiver Xavier Henderson to Cincinnati, who's a projected starter. I know that one actually hurt them. They lost offensive tackle David Connor to Deion Sanders, saying, "We coming." They lost safety Trevez Johnson to the Missouri Tigers, offensive lineman Ethan White to the portal, cornerback Jordan Young to Cincinnati. Once again, another one that I think they wanted to keep. Offensive tackle Michael Tarquin to USC. Getting kind of blasted in the portal. They also lost cornerback Corey Collier to Nebraska. Linebacker DeJuan Black to the Temple Owls. Also, Temple got Kamar Wilcoxon, the safety. Tight end Nick Elksnis to South Carolina. Disgusting. Defensive end Lloyd Summerall. Any relation to Pat Summerall? Who knows? He is he I don't think so because he's black, but it's possible. He went to South Florida, right?
Probably not.
Defensive lineman Jalen Lee goes to LSU. Brutal, right? Brutal. Offensive lineman Yusef Magarbil to Colorado. Safety Donovan McMillan to Pitt. I think he might be starting at Pitt. Linebacker David Reese to the Cal Golden Bears. Linebacker Chief Borders, great name, to Nebraska. Running back Lorenzo Lingard, former state of Florida high school, what's it called? Gatorade Player of the Year.
Yeah, 5-star.
He's at Akron to Joe Moorhead. And
He's been bouncing around, hasn't he?
Yeah, he was at Clemson, I think, too.
Or Miami or something.
Yeah, maybe that was it. Dejon Reynolds, wide receiver, went off to Pitt as well. Cornerback Avery Helm to the TCU Horned Frogs. Running back Naquan Wright to South Florida. Wide receiver Trent Whitemore to UCF. Offensive tackle Joshua Braun to Arkansas. And their long snapper Marco Ortiz to Nebraska. Whew, that's a lot of hits. That is a lot of hits. Now let's talk about what they gained, because they got linebacker Taraja Mitchell from Ohio State. Defensive lineman Caleb Banks from Louisville. Offensive tackle Damian George from Alabama. They also landed a slew of guys. Kentucky offensive tackle Keontae Godwin. Also offensive lineman Micah Mazakua from Baylor. I got no idea how to fucking say all these names. All right. And then you got defensive lineman Cameron Jackson from Memphis. Linebacker Deuce Spurlock from Michigan. Safety Ronald Nunnery from Houston. Cameron Carroll, running back that we're familiar with from DFS from the Tulane Green Wave, comes into town. Also offensive tackle Lindell Hudson from the airport at FIU. Safety RJ Moten from Michigan.
It's a big one.
Yeah, it is.
And that's their team right there.
Whoa. Did you forget?
Graham Mertz. Graham
There
Mertz
we
from
go.
Wisconsin. Yeah, how did
Little
I miss
detail
that one?
there.
How did I miss that one? I don't know. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? That means they lost the portal then, right?
We'll see. I think they lost the portal anyway. They brought in their fair share of guys, but I think the players exiting were probably a notch better than some of those guys entering the program. I think this is where and there's a question marks about Mertz. Even if he gets a starting gig, what can they expect from him? So I think this is a case where you say they lost the portal. You guys agree?
Well, it's such
It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah. No, I do think they did, because when when I learned that, Xavier Henderson starting at Cincinnati, when I learned that, those offensive linemen were huge hits. The corner that also went to Cincinnati, they did take huge hits on some of those guys. Jalen Lee to LSU. So I think you're right. But I think they've done a good job trying to catch up and get out of it.
Sure.
So there's that. Patty C, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, bringing in a guy like Mertz, you would think, former 5-star, if I'm not mistaken, that's a pretty big get if he can perform. But like you said, we don't know what that's going to be like. Apparently in spring ball, he wasn't super sharp.
And they have Jack Miller, the Ohio State transfer. But what's interesting is Napier's never had the statue quarterback. When he was at Louisiana, he had Levi Lewis, and he had AR-15. So I wonder if that's good or bad for him, considering he hasn't necessarily he's always had a mobile quarterback.
It almost seems like he went out and didn't try to attract a mobile quarterback. I mean, is that like, AR-15 was very good at some points last year, but he was also not so good at some points. I wonder if this was like a calculated move to get more of a passing quarterback rather than a dual threat. I don't know.
Perhaps. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of question marks on this team coming into this season, and it's going to be fascinating to watch. I do see Mertz as the projected starter. Now, who knows if that, a lot can change in August and stuff. So there is that. Etienne's their projected running back. Ricky Pearsall, as we alluded to, Arizona State transfer. He is projected to be their lone returning receiver. And at tight end, they do have Dante Zanders back for his senior season. The offensive line, huge hits. They only bring back 2 on the offensive line. Now, they did bring in the Bama transfer, George, but I think that's the thing you circle as, and from what I understand, that's what everyone's been circling is this offensive line going to be any good? Because they lost a lot of their depth to the portal. I think that's the red flag, quarterback and offensive line, which traditionally I feel like if you're doing this like we do for every team, that's not a good thing when your quarterback and offensive line are the 2 question marks.
Yeah.
So
not ideal. Now they are apparently leaning on the rush. They did last year. Now having a guy like Richardson who can stretch the field horizontally is going to open up run lanes for your running backs that might not be as open with the complete statue back there.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently the offensive line was pretty highly regarded. I don't know if that's
what I'm saying. They lost a bunch of guys to the NFL and the portal. Like USC came in and stole their starting tackle. You know what I mean? So those
and also, if you're looking at like sacks allowed and everything, a lot of that was also, because of AR-15's mobility.
True.
So now that you have more of a statue quarterback back there, you might expect sacks to go up, especially with only 2 offensive linemen returning.
Yeah, Rob Sale's got his work cut out for him at the offensive coordinator spot. Defensively,
hold on. Can we focus on this offense a little bit? I think it bears a little bit closer examination.
Sure,
especially at quarterback, because Graham Mertz, if you look at him, his completion percentage went down every year as a starter. It went from like 61 to 59 to 57, and his touchdown interception is 38 to 26 in his career. So I don't know why he was sought after transfer. I don't know why people expect him to take this starting gig and run with it. If it's not him, though, it's Jack Miller. And Jack Miller's been in college for a couple of years now, Ohio State, Florida, but he's only attempted 36 passes in college. And the last time he threw a touchdown, it was in a high school in Scottsdale.
Yeah, he didn't look good in that bowl game. Remember that he wasn't their second string last year. Their second string was Jalen Kitna, but he got busted for kiddie porn. So I don't know what they got going. Mertz is an interesting one. Remember, Jack Cohn looked better at Notre Dame than he did at Wisconsin. Maybe that's Brian Kelly, or maybe that's just
fair.
Out of Wisconsin's system.
It's not like Wisconsin quarterbacks look good, other than Russell Wilson the 1 year he played there.
Yeah.
So that's fair.
Yeah.
You got a running system. In fact, I'm looking at it now. They were 30 or 24th in the nation in rushing. They were actually 8th in yards per attempt. How much of that was AR-15 having huge runs?
Oh, I know he had like a couple. I can off the top of my head remember a few highlights of like 70-yard touchdown runs.
Yeah, exactly.
And I will say though, the backfield with Etienne, Montreal Johnson, who was previously at Louisiana, and then Cam Carroll. It's a deep backfield. Now, the question is the offensive line going to be able to open up some holes? That remains to be seen.
Backfield is solid. No worries there. Receiver, losing Shorter and Henderson. Yeah, you have the number one back in Pearsall. I think it'll be solid, though. And I think you want to watch out for a big second year from Caleb Douglas, who was a true freshman a year ago. His stats from last year aren't that great, but apparently he's looking really good in spring ball. Overall, I think the receivers aren't great. They're probably just solid.
Yeah, the offense definitely a bit of a mystery. Do we want to talk any more about the offense? Because I want to shift over to the defensive side of the ball, where their co-defensive coordinators, Austin Armstrong and Sean Spencer, they got a nice little solid batch returning. I feel like the defensive line, you can say, okay, this could be a solid point of emphasis, knowing that Cam Jackson and Justin. What's that?
I do have one more thing to say about this offense. I'm just like picking random stats out here. For the number 36 overall offense, they were number 6 or 105 in attempts, like offensive plays per game, with only 64.5. That seems pretty drastic in terms of yards per play overall. Is that like, if your offense is that reliant on the big play, it's repeatable, or is this offense about to like take a plummet?
Potentially. I
think that's what you get with AR-15, though. It's like boom or bust. You either get a long bomb completed, or you get a big scramble for 50 yards, or you get, So I think that's part of it. But overall, this offense was, I think, pretty average last year. It was middle of the pack in the SEC, averaging 424 yards per game. As far as just SEC rankings, passing was 9th in the SEC. Rushing was 4th. You would expect a good rushing team because the quarterback could run so well. So, and they lost some talent. So,
I think the offense got worse.
I think probably so.
Now, you could say the passing might be able to improve, but the offense might be worse, knowing that their big play,
Even if the passing improves, I think it's for sure that the rushing is going to drop because the O-line has question marks and you don't have a running quarterback anymore.
Yeah. So they return only 11 starters as a team. 6 on offense, 5 on defense. As I was alluding to, I was getting into the defense. The defensive line seems to be probably, I think, an area that they're bringing in Caleb Banks from Louisville. He's a projected starter with Justin Boone and Cam Jackson. The linebacking core, question marks.
All 4 starters gone at linebacker.
Yeah, a lot of question marks at the linebacking core. Maybe they have some young guys that can really step up and fit in. The secondary, question marks. Again, I know they bring back Jason Marshall at the corner spot, but
RJ Moten from Michigan was huge there because, so also 3 out of 4 starters are gone at DB, but plug in Moten right off the bat, and it's kind of like getting at least half of your secondary back.
True. And they both those Michigan guys they got, I think, could be key contributors to this team. And Cam Jackson, like I said, I'm sorry, he's coming back. No, I meant he's a transfer from Memphis, but he's a starter. Like, he's the guy who started a lot of games. So Let me correct myself before sounding like an idiot. But there's a lot of red flags here. Kicker and punter are back. This is a kind of how good were they last year, and are they going to be better? Because when I read this off, my first thoughts are no. But am I crazy for that take, Patty C?
Are we talking defensively or
their whole team?
overall?
Just the offense, defense. It's year 2, so that should be better. They know his system better.
I think that's a bigger factor than the talent. Like you said, AR-15 is what he is, and everyone knows what he is, or what he was. And so Mertz is kind of a known commodity at this point. Is the offense going to be able to move? Is the defense? The defense does seem like it's going to get a little worse, I would guess. So I don't know. Yeah, I guess a little worse. But
well, yeah, so Colby mentioned only 11 starters back, 6 on offense, 6 on defense. Our guy Phil Steele ranks on the experience chart. Michigan is 109th in the country in returning experience. Probably not a good thing for an average team a year ago, but you're right. They do have a lot of young guys that are now year 2 in the program, and maybe they're not household names yet, but they desperately need some of those young guys to emerge quickly.
It's going to be interesting to see. We're going to talk about the schedule. Hopefully you're watching on YouTube, youtube.com/the college experience. Remember, subscribe, folks, wherever podcasts are found as well. Please hop on over to iTunes, give us a 5-star review. We're going to go game by game on the schedule. We're going to project just how Napier's year 2 will go. And then we're going to talk about the swamp. We're going to be talking about the stadium experience in a little bit. But before we get to that, I want to tell you that the Florida Gators 2023 season preview episodes brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes, Best Ball Mania is here. And Underdog Fantasy is giving away $15 million in prizes. Yes, Underdog Pick'em is such a great way to get down on your favorite MLB player props. They also have college football player props when that comes around. There's so many ways to win over at Underdog, and Underdog is available in so many different states. Head over to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use that promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. Once again, that's UnderdogFantasy.com. Promo code SGPN. All right, we are back on the college football experience, and we are, hopefully you're watching on YouTube. If you do, shout out to Cam Kerr, our graphics guy. Is the win total? Wow, I can't remember the last. Even when Florida had bad years under McElwain and under Muschamp, I don't remember a win total at 5.5. That's what we're looking at here.
How the mighty have fallen.
I mean, I get it. They have had some tough years in the past decade, but they came into it with still high expectations. This is a bit interesting because they're coming in with low expectations.
It's a good thing to notice here that a lot of people have Florida as like a top 5 or top 10 hardest schedule in the country. Not only do you have SEC play, but you also have 2 Power 5s, which are potential top 10 teams in the non-con.
Yes. And I think that's part of it. Let's get to it. Thursday, August 31st, Rice Eccles Stadium, Salt Lake City, Utah. Cameron Rising, Andy Ludwig, Kyle Whittingham, they're all back.
With revenge on the mind.
I got Utah winning in they're 9-point favorites currently, 9.5, I believe. Maybe Florida covers, but give me Utah to win in Rice Eccles. Patty, see what are you doing here?
Yeah, I got to agree with you there. I mean, if I'm Utah, I'm spending a little time doing up tempo in preseason practice to get ready for this. Going up into those mountains for those Florida boys might be a little bit tough, and opportune time to catch them. Although I'm sure they would have liked them closer to the winter, as we've talked about.
Yeah. NC Nick, what are you doing here in Salt Lake City?
If I'm Utah and I have a very experienced team, a starting quarterback's been there for now his 3rd year. I mean, you just play the game from last year. And also, I mean, for so many new faces with Florida, this game doesn't mean as much to Utah because Utah lost this game at Florida. So this is a revenge game. And I think Utah is going to take this game extremely seriously. And Colby loves to throw that stat about SEC teams coming out west. They sometimes struggle. They often struggle.
ACC teams too. It's just an East Coast, West Coast thing. Yeah.
There you go. Not just to throw shade at the SEC, but I think this is Utah's game, and actually, I think I'm going to pick them to cover too. I think it might get ugly. Call me crazy.
Oh,
Thursday night national spotlight.
Mertz on the road. Worse than those Hertz commercials with OJ, probably. No. Yeah, I'm taking Utah. I'm sorry, but the good news is you come back home to Gainesville, and you got McNeese State, the Cowboys, and Joe Dumars never played football, so you don't got to worry about that happening.
Great defender.
Yeah, they needed him to play football probably. Patty C,
he'd be a good DB. He'd be a good cornerback, wouldn't he?
He would.
Dumars?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You can see him as a
lockdown.
Yeah. Patty C, you were talking to me pre-episode about how you think McNeese could be a live dog. I'm joking. Wait, what are you doing here? This is a win. We could skip.
McNeese 4-7 last year at the FCS level.
Of course.
Not much of a challenge.
Okay,
hold on. Didn't the quarterback we know just transfer there? Am I?
No,
am I off here?
I think you're thinking of Incarnate Word, right?
Potentially. Okay. Move on.
But now you have the game, all right? The game that I think is a make or break game on this win total. Tennessee, Florida, in the swamp where, I know Tennessee has turned a corner. It seems like they got their shit together. They have one of the best, if not the best NIL collective going. But man, they've gotten their ass whooped at the Swamp for a long amount of time.
Even last year in Tennessee, it was probably closer than what it should have been, considering Tennessee was the much better team a year ago.
If my stats are correct here, they haven't won at the Swamp since 2003. So that's
Jeez.
a little concerning.
That's a long time.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think Tennessee's a better roster right now. I think they're a better team. I think they're probably a better coach team. But Swamp is a legit home field advantage.
Yeah, if they kept it this close last year, and that was with a proven quarterback that was able to run that in Hendon Hooker, Joe Milton's still a question mark. We'll see if he performs. But look, they were only down by 10 going into the fourth quarter last year against Tennessee on Rocky Top. So yeah, I'd say the Swamp that's a big swing in terms of two different home field advantages.
I'm still taking Tennessee.
Still got to go Tennessee.
Yeah.
Right?
Nick, what are you doing here?
The other thing that makes this schedule really hard is that this is the year where Florida is technically the home team in Jacksonville against Georgia, which means they only have 3 home SEC games. So if you're going to hit an over, you better at least win 2 of these. But
It's
sorry,
a huge game. I actually think that's the biggest game arguably the biggest game on the schedule. But what do you got here?
No, I have to agree with you guys. I think Tennessee's just a better team right now. Until I can see Graham Mertz or Jack Miller be an efficient quarterback. I think Florida needs them to be more than a game manager. Florida needs a quarterback to be a difference maker. And I don't know right now if either of those guys can do it. So I'm going to take Tennessee.
Yeah, so that puts us at 1-2. Then Biff Poggi comes.
This is probably the last time since the late 90s. If you can consider that Tennessee was the better program than Florida right at the moment.
Yeah.
Tennessee, you better strike while that iron's hot.
Biff Poggi, he's striking with that iron's hot. He's coming in the Swamp and he's taking names. All right. Charlotte's going to lose to Florida, guys.
I bet you Biff Poggi can get down on some fried gator tail.
Oh yeah. He belongs in Gainesville. He should be welcomed with open arms down in Gainesville.
We got him 2-2, correct?
He's got a bunch of Jordan, I'm sure.
2-2?
2-2.
Yeah.
Okay, then comes the trip to Kroger Field, blue light special in the end zone. Guys, Kentucky's kind of had their number lately.
Yeah, they have.
It's at Kroger Field. So the 2 make or break games to me on this whole schedule are Tennessee and Kentucky. If they can win these games, they can have a really good year, or like a step forward, in my opinion.
I don't know. There are a lot of 50-50 games.
I think Kentucky's better than them right now. I'm taking Kentucky to get it done. I think this is a 1-score game, though. This is like a 50-50 game. I just feel like I trust the quarterback play at Kentucky better than Florida. Are
you actually giving Devin Leary some love?
It's a backwards compliment. He's better than Graham Mertz. All right.
That's not much love. It's a little bit, though.
Yeah. I mean, this is going to be a close game because these games, but I got to take Kentucky. I think they have a better roster right now. So, Patty C, what are you doing here?
Yeah, look, I'm going to take Kentucky, but one of these 50-50 games they're going to get, so I'm going to give them the next one. Which is only in a couple weeks from this one. But yeah, going to Lexington. What is it? A 2-game win streak for
I think he's won 4 or 5. Is that
4
true?
or 5?
Hold on. Let me do the history on this.
While you pull that up, unfortunately, or depending on where you stand, I have to agree with you guys. I think Kentucky has more right now. Both teams are losing a lot. Obviously, both quarterbacks were drafted early in the NFL draft. But
3 of 5. 3 of 5.
5.
Kentucky's won 2 straight.
And you know what? Stoops has brought up the offensive line and the defensive line to SEC standards. So they're not a pushover anymore. This game is at home. This game means something to Kentucky. At home, they're going to want to beat Florida, and I think they get it done again.
Yeah, that game's probably still circled on Kentucky's calendar.
Yeah, I got them 2 and 3, man. These Florida fans are going to be tweeting at us, talking tons of shit. But hey, that's the name of the game. Next up, Vanderbilt comes to town. Vanderbilt beat Florida a year ago. I got revenge on the mind at Ben Hill, Griffith Stadium, Patty C.
I have to agree with you, but this game was only a 7-point game in Vandy last year. Nashville, yeah, revenge will probably happen here. So what do we have? 3 and 3.
3-3, Nick, you riding with Florida?
I do kind of like what Clark Lee's doing there. Year over year, building a little bit of momentum, getting better and better and better. But come on, I mean, Vandy can pull out some upsets at home, but on the road, in the swamp, I don't think so. Give me Florida.
All right, now comes a big one here. Saturday, October 14th, Williams-Brice Stadium, Columbia, South Carolina. Florida beat the hell out of South Carolina a year ago. Napier said, I get it. You Beamer ball my ass. They won by 32 against the Gamecocks a year ago. So revenge could be on the mind for Spencer Rattler, Shane Beamer and company. I got South Carolina winning this.
Maybe we're underrating Florida. I mean, maybe,
It's a 50-50 game, but I feel like a home team edge I got to go with.
I think
again on the road. Sorry, Patty, go ahead.
I'm just between Utah, Tennessee, Kentucky, and South Carolina. I bet they get one. I bet they get one of them. So this is the one I'm going to give them.
You might be right. All I know is that we have a very inexperienced team with question marks at quarterback, and on the road in the SEC is no joke. So I'm going to go South Carolina.
I mean, they did win at Florida last year, but they lost all their other road games. Florida State, Vanderbilt, and Tennessee. So they need to tell me that I need to know that they can win on the road. I'm sorry. I'm taking South Carolina.
I mean, I think people are still thinking of South Carolina as like this, inferior team talent-wise in the SEC. They're number 21 on the national composite. Florida's only number 14 as of the most recent national composite ranking 2022. So, and if Florida has stepped back, they may be even closer than that.
I mean, Spencer Rattler at home here, you got to favor South Carolina. I think,
I do. Yeah. But I'm saying
those composite ratings, do they matter as much as it used to with so many players coming and going via the portal?
Well, I think they account for the portal ins and outs, but
do they? Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm confused on that because you'll see like a 2 or 3 star become a 4 or 5
star in the portal.
They just basically, I guess, only when they transfer they re-rate them as players. But
do they?
Yeah, they do that for the incoming players. So,
if you don't know, Patty C's our recruiting expert.
Well, you know what makes this national composite thing tough is that you have teams with different numbers of players. You have some teams. North Carolina's got 77, Michigan's got 85. They all have the 85-man roster. So if you're talking about, this team has 8 less players on their roster, they're not going to have. I
almost think even if they're doing their best job, it's too hard to keep track of.
It is too
hard.
Like
that's why I think there's more room for error in this, and probably why you're seeing the carnage in college football. Why TCU just played in the national championship. So
I've never put a bunch of stock into that, and I think nowadays you put less than ever before.
Yeah. I mean, the conference composite's a new index, so I think that has, they got to get that perfected. But recruiting-wise, I'll rattle it off real quick. Starting in 2020, 9, and then 9, then 12, then 18 in Napier's first recruiting cycle. So that was a nice little step back. But
they brought him in for recruiting too. Right. That was the knock against Mullen.
Yeah, he couldn't get it done.
So,
but then 14. But now he's in this upcoming cycle, 2024. He's got him at number 4. So maybe the recruiting is kicking in right now.
Interesting. Well, they get a bye week on Saturday, October 21st. And I wonder if you have a losing season just because of recruiting now, will they stay committed?
Yeah.
So that's why this year's
critical.
So they get a bye week and then they go world's biggest cocktail party. Me and NC Nick have been to this fantastic event. It's great to be completely shit hammered and have a great time here. But
to be fair, Georgia has a bye also.
Yeah, and Georgia has a bye when they play Florida right now because Georgia's been dominant recently.
Oh man, you're really pissing off those Gator fans.
Riling them up.
It's what it is right now, man. Georgia is beating everyone's ass in college football.
I remember when Florida had won 18 of 21, and it seemed like Georgia was way in the backseat in this rival forever. But they have closed that gap and surpassed Florida 100%.
So I got them at 3-4, and that moves to 3-5 when Georgia beats them.
I'm with you.
I got them at 4-4 at this point.
Okay, now, Arkansas has never won at the Swamp, even though they've been in the conference since like 91, even though they've only played in the Swamp like 4 times, I feel like, since 91, but they've never won in the Swamp. This is a winnable game. Give me the Gators to get this one done. Give me the Gators to get this one
Throw them a
done.
bone.
Yeah.
The
Nick?
swamp still matters. That still is a great home field environment. Arkansas lost a lot. I think Florida does get this at home. This is another desperately needed game because the last 3 games are tough, man.
Well,
Yeah.
the trip to Missouri is not.
It's the second half of a back-to-back.
November 18th.
It's true.
Missouri's good at home. They almost beat Georgia at home last year.
Yeah.
On the road, Missouri is iffy, but yeah, this late in the year at Missouri, that's not an easy road trip.
You also got to wondering about not only is it cold, but the quit factor. And by the way, Florida's just 6-6 against Missouri all time.
Wow.
Since
I wonder how many of those wins came in Columbia. You got that info?
Get this. I got this right now. They have 2 wins in Columbia, 2 of their 6, and
The other 4 came in the swamp or bowl game.
No, they played 12 times. So
But they have 6 wins, right?
yes, and so pre them being in the SEC, they only played 1 time. So since
Finkel
then,
probably got the better of them early on.
no, they lost the last time they played. Eli Drinkwitz is 1-0 against Florida. He beat Dan Mullen. Actually, that's the game that got Dan Mullen fired.
That's right.
And then in 19, when it was Barry Odom, Mullen won in Florida, in Columbia, 23-6. But the previous time before that, Florida lost 45-16. Yeah, I'm not taking them in Columbia. And another thing is you got to worry about the quit factor here, because if you're this, you play at LSU and at Missouri. I'm sorry, I got them losing both.
I have to agree. Now, I'm almost crazy here because
I think they can beat Florida State.
I don't think they will.
I think they could, though. I think they could. It's at the Swamp.
Sure. I mean, those last 2 games,
Florida State just a little bit.
those last 2 games are winnable, but Florida State, their experience and their talent is much better than Florida
Number
right now.
one,
I'm sorry.
number 1 experience coming back in college football.
And back-to-back number 1 transfer portal years, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Colorado's number 1.
Oh, Colorado.
If they lose their last 3, that means I have Florida going 4-8.
Yeah, no, I have them going. Wait, I have Arkansas, Vandy, Charlotte, McNeese. Yeah, 4-8. I think 5-7 is your ceiling, and the win total's at 5.5.
Chances are, we're still talking about Florida. They still have a SEC talent on that roster. Maybe they win 1 more. Maybe it's the Kentucky game or the South Carolina game.
Yeah, but still, they would put you at 5-7 still.
I'm on the under.
I feel like, gosh, I just feel like they're a 6-6 team. They have gone under 500 a couple times in the last 20 years.
Yeah,
but I mean, they weren't under 500 during the regular season last year. 6-6, but 5-7. This may be a 5-7 kind of year if I'm looking at it. But you know what? I think they're just the type of program that doesn't do it that often. I'm just going to take a flyer on the fact that, well, let me look at it. 2017 was the last time they didn't go bowling. And then 2013, but prior to that, it had been.
But they had Urban Meyer and Steve Spurrier.
Yeah.
It's like you're getting 2 Hall of Fame coaches.
And prior to that, it had been 1979 before they hadn't gone bowling. So that's 2 times in the last 44 years or so. So
do they have the second worst quarterback, or arguably the worst quarterback in the SEC East?
I mean, there's Missouri and Vandy. I guess Leary's probably more proven than Mertz.
Mertz hasn't proven anything.
Yeah,
it's true.
Leary was highly sought after by everybody.
I told you his stats. Mertz hasn't proven anything.
I don't know. It's just concerning. I mean, I don't know. Let me ask you this: if he goes 5-7 or 4-8 like he projected, is he fired?
Dude, 4-8 might be a firing. I mean, Florida's not fucking around.
Yeah.
What's the best case scenario? 7-5?
I think the best case scenario is that they upset Tennessee at home. They win one of those road games at Kentucky at Vandy. That means you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm sorry, I meant at Kentucky or at South Carolina. 5. Beat Arkansas at home is 6, and you beat either. Yeah, I think so. 7-5 is your best case scenario.
I mean, I could see
this schedule's too tough. This is a top 5 toughest schedule or top 10 toughest schedule in the country.
It is a tough schedule, but a lot of the SEC teams have tough schedules. They are the number 5 most talented team in the conference composite of the SEC, and they were number 4 last year. They don't play A&M, who's in the top 5. So almost every team, according to the talent,
they whooped A&M's ass last year. They want to play A&M.
Hold on. Most SEC schools do not play at Utah and home versus Florida State in the non-con.
That's true. I think that's true.
Or Biff Poggi.
But what I'm saying is they will be more talented, and I think talent matters. See Texas versus Alabama last year when in these games. Like LSU, I don't think that's a blowout, even though it's in Baton Rouge. I think Florida could very well beat LSU. We're acting like LSU has some mastermind at the helm in Brian Kelly.
He's got a little bit better track record.
Brian Kelly has lost every fucking big game he's ever coached in.
Not at Grand Valley State, buddy.
Okay. Yeah, well.
All right. He's actually got a great track record.
72.
I trust his track record better than a lot of other coaches in America.
In most of those big games, he did not have the talent advantage.
Yeah. When you're at Central Michigan and Cincinnati and
Notre Dame.
Well, when he's losing to Toledo or like needing a miracle to beat the likes of Toledo at Notre Dame, then consider me not convinced on Brian Kelly being a mastermind coach.
I think he's
a good coach.
Won against West in his first year.
Yeah.
Good.
Want to know against Saban when they've had a level playing field.
Fair point. Still not sold. Sorry.
Let's go. Folks, before we get out of here, I got Michael Barker, a.k.a. College Football Campus Tour. If you haven't, if you don't know who that is, you need to know who that is. And I got to sit down with him to talk about his experiences down to Gainesville, because it always seems like such a great place to go and catch a college football game, the epitome of a great college football crowd. So here we go with Michael Barker in that interview. Joining us on the College Football Experience Florida Gators 2023 season preview episode is someone, look, if you love college football, which I know SEC fans out there, you guys are fantastic, and you do love college football. That's why on Twitter you should be following Michael Barker, a.k.a. CFB Campus Tour, and I'm honored to have him on the show to talk about Ben Hill Griffin Stadium and the Florida Gators. How you doing, Michael?
Doing great. We picked a classic stadium to talk about here.
Yeah, I mean, so tell me the history, like the history, and also what games have you been to in Gainesville, because this is bucket list to me. If you tell me if you've told me, hey Colby, you got 3 months left on this planet, well, guess what? I'm going to this thing. So talk to me about that.
So the Swamp, nickname obviously, opened in 1930, had 21,000 seats, and over the course of the years, it's been expanded to 88,000. The record crowd was in 2015 when they played Florida State, their main rival, and they had 91,000 people there. They have statues outside the stadium in honor of their Heisman Trophy winners, Steve Spurrier, Danny Werfel, and Tim Tebow. And over a 20-year period from 1990 to 2009, they went 113 and 13 at home. Dominant. And, there's a sign up in the stadium that is up against the wall, and it says, "This is the Swamp." And we all know that the humidity and at night is just a huge factor. Gus Malzahn, current UCF coach, former Auburn coach, former Arkansas State coach, he said the Swamp and the Tiger Stadium at LSU are the two loudest stadiums he's ever been to. So there's that intimidation factor. There's that history, that mystique. And when Florida is rolling, nobody wants to go play there.
Yeah. They also play Tom Petty's from Gainesville. I know they have a moment, I think maybe going into the fourth, where it seems like, or maybe at halftime. I don't remember. I haven't been, but I've seen it on TV where they play like a Tom Petty song and the whole place goes crazy. I got to get there for it. What games did you see, man?
So I have a list of COVID games that I want to go back to, but during 2020, the SEC was one of the few conferences allowing fans. So I went to Tennessee, Georgia, Auburn, South Carolina, and Florida that year. So there's 20% capacity. You don't get the full effect, but you are happy to, have football and go to the Swamp. So they played South Carolina. They won 38-24. Kyle Trask, current top contender for Tampa Bay Bucs starting job. He threw 4 touchdowns in the game. And the last game of the year is Florida State. And I'm seriously thinking about going back to that one. But like you, yes, I've been there, but this is a huge bucket list stadium to get that full 88,000 crowd doing Gator chomps. I want to be a part of that as well.
Yeah, everything that is right about college football when those fans are doing the Gator chomps and just showing up and just on TV, it just looks so fantastic. Well, folks, like I said, Michael goes sometimes 4, 5, 6, 7 games a week. I repeat, 4, 5, 6, 7 games a week sometimes. He is a must follow on Twitter. I'm telling you, during the football season, some days I'll just wake up and I go, hey, today's Wednesday. There's actual Sunbelt games on. I wonder if Michael's going to this. All right, and I go to his Twitter page at CFB Campus Tour, and I go, no, of course he is, right? And then the next day he's at a Mountain West game, and then he's at the Swamp on a Saturday. So, folks, give him a follow. It is a must follow. It's educational. He does the photo of the game. He'll sometimes get the photos of the statues of the university right outside of the stadium. So check it out. Michael, I appreciate you coming on the show. And Gator, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Colby, thank you. Gator, there we go.
There we go, brother. Gator, Patty C. I've been down there. I was partying with the Florida fans, man. And look, just because I'm on the under, I dig their style, man. They get after those fans, they are college football, man. And look, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe NC Nick's wrong, and Patty C, you took the over, right? At the end of the day?
I think I took the over at the end of the day.
You think so?
I don't know.
You know so?
It's a coin.
Let's just say it's not going to be one of your locks.
Yeah.
I mean, I really have them at 5 and 7, but I just think they're going to get to 6 and 6.
Okay, so he's on the under, I think. Give him a follow on Twitter at PattyC831, and maybe he'll answer that.
It's unknown. It's a mystery. I'll tell you later.
All right, this fucking David Duchovny here. I'm watching the X-Files over here. Look, folks, subscribe to the College Football Experience because we're breaking down all 133 teams, every single team in the land with the solo podcast. We do it each and every year. We've been doing this shit for years, so give us a follow, subscribe. We also host the College Basketball Experience. Gator fans, Todd Golden, year 1, maybe year 2 could be a step forward. I'll be here every night of the college basketball season, so subscribe. And we also host the College Baseball Experience. College Gators came close to winning a natty. Hopefully they can take it down next year. And the FCS College Football Experience. Subscribe to all those. We come together as one on YouTube, youtube.com/the College Experience. Subscribe, tell a friend, and get the SGPN app in the App Store or Google Play Store. It's free to download. Not charging you anything. You'll get access to all of our picks, podcast content, all that good stuff. And come talk college football or really any sport with us in the Discord, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. It's like a house party of DJs. We're just talking sports all the time, whether it's a badminton game going on in Edinburgh or an arm wrestling match in Tijuana. We got you covered. All right. So, check it out and give us a follow on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. That is the College Football Experience Twitter account. I'm on Twitter at TheColbyD. Like I said, Patty C's on Twitter at PattyC831. Demand an answer on the over or under from him. And NC Nick's on Twitter at NC__NICK. Give us all a follow. And we're looking forward to continuing on this journey. All right. Until the next team, this is the College Football Experience, Florida Gator style. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.